It is good, yo. It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today we are going to be doing a tier list of some of the top centers in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM right now. Now, a lot of the centers, or if they're not on this list, they probably were on the power forward list, such as a guy, like a Dwight Howard maybe would have been on the power forward list. And just some guys like Bob Nedelecki, for example, who has center eligibility, is not going to be on this list. So again, if you haven't watched the power forward list and don't see the guy you want on the center list, is probably on the power forward list. But yeah, most of these guys are primarily guys I would recommend playing at that center position. Now, before we dive any further into this, if you are new to my channel and have not yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button as we're on the road towards 100,000 subscribers. We don't have a ton of people on this list. I mean, we really don't. When you look at this list, we got what? 30 maybe players on this list, not a whole ton. So when we started off with big artists, my question to you guys is, do you guys think Artist is a top 5 player on this list? Right now, I'm going to lean no, okay? And we'll talk about why. But right now, I'm going to lean no. When you look at Artist, only a total of 45 badges. That's going to play a factor. Obviously, defensively, he's very solid. Mashing-wise, is very solid. Shooting-wise, he's okay. Jump shot 1 on quick is a solid and easy enough release to green, but he only has an 83 ball and he doesn't come with a lot of those shooting badges. If you lack an Artist, you have to apply a few badges to him. Can't really dribble too much. Jump shot 1 on quick, again, is something I do like about Artist, but he's not one of my favorite centers in the game, and that's just my personal opinion. If you like Artist Gilmore and have been hooping with him for a while, definitely can, you could make the case Artist Gilmore is a top 2 or 3 big in the game, and I'm not going to argue it. He's just not my favorite when it comes down to the top centers on this list. Bill Laimbeer up next, and Bill Laimbeer he's not good. I mean, he's really not. He's a triple threat offline reward. So if you got Laimbeer, he's obviously free for you guys. Now, with that being said, for a free card, is Bill Laimbeer good? I don't see it. I mean, 6'11", defensively he's fine. Bill Laimbeer base on very quick is still just horrid. It's horrible. Just don't know about Bill Laimbeer. I just, when it comes down to him, I think there's other bigs in the game that are just better than him, that may even, you could get for a, 5,000 MT. Bill Laimbeer is just not a card I recommend for you. Bill Walton. My question is, who is the better Bill? Bill Laimbeer or Bill Walton? For me, I'd probably take Bill Walton. Why? He's at least got jump shot 37 on quick and shifty dribble style. I think he can do a little bit more for you than Bill Laimbeer. I'm going to put him at the same tier just because Bill Laimbeer, badge-wise, is way better. But I don't know who I'd prefer. I mean, Bill Walton is not horrible. Obviously, Bill Laimbeer is probably going to be the better overall card between those two guys. Boban up next. Now, my question is Boban better than the two guys we just talked about? And my answer is yes. I do think Boban is B tier. Am I gassing it? Maybe I am. But my question is this. I know his release is not good, so I'm not even going to sit here and talk about that. But as an inside big, I still like it. Defensively, he's really good all the way around. There's not many flaws. He even comes with clamps. I mean, defensively, the card is really good. If he is wide open, he can green shots. What is there not to like about Boban? If you're giving me one center between Boban, Bill Laimbeer, and Bill Walton, I am taking Boban every single day of the week. David Robinson up next. For centers, I'm going to put him at A tier. Again, I do prefer him at that power forward position. It doesn't matter what David Robinson. I prefer him at power forward. Definitely do think he's obviously better than a guy like Boban, but pretty comparable to a guy like Artist. Do I prefer D-Rob compared to Artist? I think I do prefer David Robinson in general, but that's really preference based. If you prefer Artist compared to David Robinson, I'm not going to argue it. I just think D-Rob gives you a little bit more of an all-around center. DeAndre Ayton for this stage of my team is not very good. I mean, he had his time, and I feel like we do need a new DeAndre Ayton card, but this card, if you're still using him, it's time for a replacement. Jump shot 112 on normal timing was chick, but for today's game, it's just a little slow. Card's not very good. I'm putting him in F tier. He is not very good anymore in my team. DeMarcus Boogie Cousins up next, and I think he is another B tier caliber player. I think he is better than a guy, like if you want to compare him to Bill Laimbeer, Cousins is better because he's got a more reliable jump shot, just can do more for you on the court than a guy like Boban. But I will say it, he's only 6'10". You run Boogie at center, he is going to get mashed, and that's where Boban comes in handy. I do think, is he as good as David Robinson? No. Is he as good as Artis Gilmore? No. He is obviously, in my opinion, that B tier. Next up, Big Dikembe Mutombo, and for Mount Mutombo, we're going into S tier. This might be one that divides opinions, but I do think if we're talking about the center position, he gives you more than Artis, and in my personal position, at that center position, I think he gives you more than David Robinson. Why? Well, he's just a little bit taller. He's got 27 Hall of Famers. You look at him compared to D-Rob, I think outside of the steal rating, he's just a better overall guard. When you compare him to Artis, again, I just think side by side, Dikembe is overall, outside of that steal rating, the better overall guard. I'm putting him in S tier right now. We might move some things around. It's hard because I do think David Robinson might be the better overall guard, but I prefer D-Rob at power forward, so it's really just a hard thing for me. Dino up next, and he's got to go into A tier too. I am absolutely in love with Dino, and if you want to know why, it all goes back to the wingspan. A 7'11" wingspan, and that's what it actually is. Now, 2K didn't juice him too much and only gave him gold interceptor, but if you find a Dino with Hall of Fame interceptor, you've got an absolute menace on the defensive end of the court. Jump shot for him, very quick is good. Again, if you give him a 3-ball shoe, he's going to be a lot better. But I've used Dino on my No Money Spent squad, and I've had some good success with him. I had success in my gameplay with him, have some success on my No Money Spent squad series with him, and I do think he's an A-tier center in my team. Eddie Curry up next, and am I missing something with Eddie Curry? He's not horrible. I think he's C tier though. I don't think Eddie Curry is as good as a guy like Boban, and maybe that's me. Jump shot 38 on quick, shifty dribble style. But from my perspective and my point of view is he a great defensive player? No. Is he a great shooter? Yes. But that's really all he gives you. And I mean, is he that much better when you compare him to a guy like Bill Walton? That's my question to you guys. And maybe he is. Maybe I'm just missing something, but I don't think he is. I really don't. Obviously, with the Evo, you're looking at different animations, but I cannot put him above C tier. I just can't. Hakeem Elijah is a C tier or a B tier player right now in my team. Now, here's why. He's not David Robinson's level. He's just not. But he's close. And maybe Hakeem, he does. He deserves A tier. I can't do it. Hakeem definitely does deserve A tier. It's preference between him and D-Rob, preference between him and Artis, Dino, all those guards. I just think Boogie Cousins is that step below. Now, Boogie might get moved up eventually, but I do think Hakeem Elijah, when you look at the card, belongs in A tier, and I don't think many people can argue that. Sigma, another A tier player. And I don't want to put everybody in A tier, but here's what I'll say. You ask 10 people that play the game on my team who they prefer between Artis, D-Rob, Dino, Hakeem, and Jack Sigma, and I guarantee you're looking at 5 different answers. I guarantee it. Because it's so close and tough between them. I do think Dino and Jack Sigma are most people would take Jack Sigma over Dino, but it's one of those things. It's because he has a better 3-ball. It's really that simple. Defensively, Dino is going to be that little bit longer, a little bit better. I think I prefer Jack Sigma, but I do think it is by just a slight margin. I do like Sigma in my team, though, and I've used him at every level. Wiseman, I think, is that step below in B tier. Again, I think he's more comparable to a guy, in my opinion, like DeMarcus Cousins, okay? James Wiseman is really good. I love his player model. Defensively, he's absolutely elite, but the set shot 30 on very quick, it's horrible. That release is so baited in my team, and I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Fundamental dribble style, all just pretty rough dribble sigs in general. I don't mind James Wiseman. If he's your center for a budget squad, I get it, right? And I'm not even going to hate on it because for a budget center, James Wiseman is a solid option. I just think as far as the tier list is concerned, he is a B tier caliber player. Jared Allen for this stage of my team, I am just not a big fan of. And around in February, sure, the card was fine, but for today's game, he's just not great. He's not. Jump shot 31 on normal timing. Can't handle the ball. Defensively, he's okay, but Again, for this stage of my team, I do think he is a D tier caliber card. Joel Embiid, I do still think is C tier. Now, I'm going to say this. It's preference whether you like this Joel Embiid or the Diamond Joel Embiid more. That's all preference. Because one has jump shot 47 on quick, not as many Hall of Famers. This one I think is the better overall card, but he does have jump shot 47 on normal timing. So again, I do think that's preference based, but either way you put it, either way you cut the cookie, slice the pie, however you want to say it, I do think Joel Embiid is still a C tier caliber center. An S tier card in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I don't think many people are going to try to argue this. Now, if you can't shoot with Kareem because the jump shot 21 on very quick, it looks weird, and if you can't time that release, it's understandable if you don't like Kareem. But even if you don't look at the card as a shooter, right? Even if you just look at his interior presence and just his defensive presence, it's undeniable how good Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is. I still think right now, for me, he's the third best center in my team, in my opinion. And so it's tough for me because I do like Kareem over Dikembe. But again, if you can't shoot with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I get it, man. And I probably wouldn't be super high on him either. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think, has to go at the same tier as a guy in Jarrett Allen. Now, I will say this. We're due for a new Cat, and hopefully they change his release, right? That's one thing I hope for. Obviously, for Cat, great shooting-wise, defensively, he's okay, right? They gave him good badges, but stat-wise, pretty mediocre. We're due for a new Cat, and hopefully they juice him. Just for my sake, forget everybody else, but hopefully they do juice him for my sake. KP Pink Diamond, another card that's going in D tier that is better than a guy like DeAndre Ayton and similar to the level of a Karl-Anthony Towns and Jarrett Allen card. Brook Lopez, based on normal timing, does obviously have a good 3-ball, okay? And we know that. But defensively, because he's 7'3", he can at least hold it down. If you're a budget baller and you want to run KP, I'm not going to debate it. I do think James Wiseman is obviously the better option. But I just don't know how much. I mean, D tier and C tier honestly could go together. There's not much of a difference there. But I do notice a difference when we go to that B tier. Next up, guys, KP Dark Matter. S tier, and at the top of S tier right now at this moment. You look at the Dark Matter KP. Why is he better than the Pink Diamond? And why is the Pink Diamond so low on my list? It's because of this. We got a KP that can defend with the Brook Lopez base on quick, super smooth jumper. Playmaker-wise, he has post playmaker, which is a big badge. Defensively, super elite. I would give him unpluckable, right? That is a badge he does need, but I mean, here's the deal. Another reason I like him is because I got Don Nelson, which gives that interior perimeter a big boost as well as the speed. What he lacks, Don Nelson kind of makes up for, and I think that is a big bonus for you guys if you do run Kristaps Porzingis. No matter how you look at it, no matter what coach you have, Kristaps Porzingis is an S tier center. Marc Gasol up next, and I don't hate Marc Gasol. A lot of people don't like Marc Gasol, and I get it. But I like him. I mean, he was out by the time 250K was played. The only reason I used Kristaps over him was because I had, a Kristaps with 20, however many Hall of Famers. But I'll say this. I do think Marc Gasol is C tier still to this day. Why is he C tier? Because he can't really handle the ball too well. I mean, speed, not great. I just don't think he gives you as much as a guy like Boogie Cousins, James Wiseman. But I do think if you locked in for Marc Gasol, he is still playable. Don't like his release. Obviously, dribbling does get the Kobe size of his skate, but with big dribble style, it doesn't really matter. Marc Gasol is still solid enough in my team. Old Yao Ming, I'm going A tier. I don't care, man. You guys might hate this that I'm putting the Galaxy Opal Yao in A tier. I don't care. This card is an absolute menace still to this day. Obviously, the Dark Matter Yao is better, and we know that, right? I'm not trying to argue that. What I am trying to argue is that I would rather have Galaxy Opal Yao than DeMarcus Cousins. I'd rather have Galaxy Opal Yao than Boban, and I'd rather have Galaxy Opal Yao than James Wiseman. It's pretty simple. Why is he better than Boban? It's pretty simple. He's 7'6" compared to 7'4". Obviously, Boban does a lot more for you on the court, and it's really preference-based. I do think Yao has that small advantage, though. Dark Matter Yao, nothing has ever been more easy. The top of S tier, by far and away the best center in the game. And honestly, he could be debated as the best card in the game right now. This card is so elite. Super smooth jump shot, set shot 8 on very quick, easy to time, easy to green. But on the defensive end, that's where Yao really makes his presence felt. Super, super tough. He plays lanes well. obviously defend shots at the rim well. Yao is just a really good center in general. Now this one might make a lot of people mad, but Tober Jokic is going into B tier. Why? Defensively, he is so mid, guys, and I don't know how else to tell you. His player model is not great. He's mid on the defensive end of the court. Movement-wise for him, I get it, he's got shifty dribble style, but that doesn't do too much for him. His release is good, but I don't see what y'all see in Jokic. Give me Dino, Sigma, D-Rob, Yao, Hakeem, and Artis all over him. Honestly, is he better than James Wiseman? My personal opinion is I don't think so. James Wiseman on the defensive end of the court is going to be way better than Jokic. Obviously, Jokic post moves better. Jokic playmaking is better. I think I'd take James Wiseman, and that's my opinion on it. Patrick Ewing, easy addition into A tier, right where David Robinson is. You could go either way on him. I prefer D-Rob. Some people might prefer Ewing. I wish his release was on very quick. Obviously, defensively, absolutely elite. I'm just excited that we got so many different options we can run. Patrick Ewing, for his time, was so good. March 11th, obviously over 2 months ago, but Patrick Ewing was really, really solid for his time and still is solid going into A tier. Ralph Sampson, B tier. Right with Boban. I mean, it's one of those things. Ralph, badge-wise, is going to be better. Stat-wise, probably not quite as good. Ralph might be closer to A tier, obviously, because when you compare him to Boban, I don't think it's going to be very close. I mean, Boban is a little bit maybe better in some areas, but obviously Ralph is better in some areas as well. I do think it is close enough. I think Boban is more comparable to Ralph than a guy like Yao. Ralph is at the upper tier of A tier, or upper edge of B tier, I would say. I mean, he really is. If you want to move Boban down, I'm going to, man. I tried making the case for Boban. I just can't do it any longer. Boban, C tier. Ralph, B tier. Galaxy Opal, Yao, A tier with the Dark Matter, Yao, and S tier. I think that's just how I have to do it. Rick Smits. I don't even think Rick Smits is as good as Boban, though. And that's the hard part for me. Everybody wants to make the case Rick Smits is better than Ralph, and I don't think so. I'm going to put Rick Smits in the same tier as Boban because I think that's where he belongs. Rick Smits, I'm going to say this, is definitely not as good as Ralph Sampson. I know DBG and some other guys maybe have tried to make that point, and it is just not valid. Robert Parrish for today's game, I mean, he still defensively is okay. I mean, shooting-wise, set shot 14 on quick is not bad, but he doesn't have a great three ball. I'm going to put him at C tier because defensively, I mean, he is still very solid. Rudy Gobert up next. I mean, Gobert is not horrible for his value, and I want you guys to make sure you know that. For Gobert's value, he is not horrible. He's right in the mix here with Boban. Rick Smits, obviously a different player, going to be a little bit faster, defensive, more defensive badges, not as tall. Obviously, can't shoot the ball to Boban's level, but he still is C tier. Invincible Shaq in S tier as well. Now, obviously for Shaq, I like him more at power forward because he's got power forward eligibility. But if you want to run him at center, you definitely can, and he is still going to be top tier. 7'1", 7'7" wingspan. Release-wise, I don't love, but, I mean, I can get by. I mean, it is still big Shaq. Simbular, right with Boban, right with Rick Smits. It's one of those things. You got to throw all the giants in there together. I mean, you really do. You can't separate the giants. Whether you like Simbular, whether you like Rick Smits, whether you like Boban, I mean, it's really all preference. And for me right now, when we look at Simbular, probably... I can't say the least complete. I was gonna say probably the least complete, but I don't mind his release. Set shot 2 is what Boban has, but his is on very quick, which does make a little bit of an impact. Still not a card I mean I'd recommend probably using, but again, for budget ballers, you gotta use somebody, and I think these three are a good starting point. Vlade up next. I don't love him. I do not love him. He's the definition of mid in my opinion. But when you compare him to a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, what I want to do for you guys, because I know I'm going to get a lot of slander, there's not much separating them. And I'm sorry, Vlade's statistically is the better card. Now, badges obviously tell its own story animation-wise. Set shot 16 on very quick compared to set shot 8 on quick. I still think Boogie has the advantage, but I do think he is a B tier caliber player. Dark Matter Wilt up next, and this is where things get interesting. And I gotta drop the Kembe Mutombo down. I didn't want to drop the Kembe down, but you have to. I mean, this Wilt Chamberlain is it in my team. There's no questions asked. 76 3 ball, but with set shot 17 on very quick, it's basically like Ralph Sampson only on very quick, which is easier to agree with. Quick dribble style as well. Player build is absolutely ridiculous. Some people, including me, might prefer Wilt over Shaq. Now that's a debate of its own right. Shaq obviously has a better 3-ball. Wilt's release is better. It's a different type of a debate. But I do think I personally would prefer Wilt Chamberlain. Wang up next. I mean, for today's game, is Big Wang even good? Not really. I'm going to go D tier with him. 10 Hall of Famers, 20 on gold. This card was expected to be good, but he really was a letdown. And Big Z last, but certainly not least, just drill this Ilgauskas. Now, for Big Z here, what do you want me to say? Shooting wise, he's fine, right? Kent Bazemore's base is fine, but he's slow. He's not very good. I honestly think out of all the Giants, he might be the worst, but badge wise, he is the most complete. I'm throwing him at C tier. This list was definitely tougher than I thought it would be. I thought this list would be easy for me to do, but separating some of the centers, especially at B and C tier, were pretty tough. I feel comfortable in A and above. I think that is pretty solid, but B and lower got a little tough for me. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who was I too high on? Who was I too low on? And who did I leave off this list that you guys would have liked to see? Let me know that down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.